Hey guys, back with another review impressions video on this game right here, Tales of Xillia 2. A title I've been very much looking forward to this year. I really enjoyed the first game. Obviously, I'm a huge Tales fan. Probably in my top three JRPG series of all time. Don't know if it's my favorite. It had been my favorite for a long time. I think SMT has kind of overtaken it lately. But I'm always excited for a new Tales game. And this is well, I guess we got Zestiria coming up next, but this has been out in Japan for quite a while, but we just got it. Just beat it a couple days ago. I pretty much blazed through this one. Took me 35 hours. It's not a short game by any means, but I was fairly addicted to this. I put in like 5 hours every day since release, and I fucking love this game. Even though I was looking forward to it and I really enjoyed his Tales of Xillia, I don't know. I wasn't insanely excited for this. But I found myself really into this almost right away, which usually with Tales games, it takes me at least a couple hours to get into things and to kind of start to enjoy the game. With this game, right off the bat, I was loving this game. It's I'm gonna try again. This is gonna be a spoiler-free review. It's right off the bat. I will say, if you hadn't played Tales of Xillia, play that first. I wouldn't recommend this for someone that hadn't played the first game. They kind of give you like a general overview, like in the menus of like what happened in the first game, and the characters, because a lot of the same characters make an appearance in this one, and I think you'll really get a lot more out of this game if you've played the first one and completed it. Story-wise, for this game, I don't want to say too much what the story is, because a lot of that would spoil what the first one's about. But it mainly has to deal with alternate dimensions, which is something a few games have done recently. The hook here, right off the bat, I'll say, like, the story in this game, honestly, probably my favorite storyline in a Tales game. And as much as I love the Tales games, I've never found their storylines to be amazing. They've all been good to great. Some of the Tales games have had pretty great storylines, but none of them have really blown me away or anything. But I really love the storyline in this. It's a lot darker compared to a lot of Tales games. A lot more violent. I don't know, I really enjoyed the story here that has to do with like alternate dimensions. That's all I really want to say about it. The protagonist, Luker, he's a new protagonist. He wasn't in Tales of Xillia, and most of the characters in here are returned from Xillia, and they're different. I like what they've done, like the differences between the first game and this game with the characters, and I like a lot of the character growth and development in this game. As with a lot of pretty much every Tales game, the character development in this game is fantastic. One of the new characters, Elle, the little girl here, she's, I gotta say, like, even some people are probably gonna really like her. I still thought she was kind of annoying. But then again, I just find children characters annoying in every RPG. I don't know why they have to be in so many JRPGs. They're always annoying in my opinion, and it's the same case here. I mean, she's a big part of the storyline for sure, and there's definitely some good moments with her, but I found her annoying most of the time. But the other characters are fantastic. The main character is really interesting. The thing with him though, he's kind of a silent protagonist. Basically, the game's got like these choices you make during cutscenes, where you've got like a left choice and a right choice, but your character doesn't speak his lines. Like, it makes a lot of scenes pretty awkward, and on New Game Plus you can unlock his voice for these choices, which I don't know why that wasn't an option right away. The silent protagonist thing is, I guess, a love it or hate it thing. Some people really don't like it. I was fine with it. It created some awkward scenes, especially with like interactions between him and some of the other characters. They were a bit odd, but I actually didn't mind it too much. I just would have preferred if they allowed you to have his voice right from the beginning. One thing I want to say, like with the cutscenes in general in this game, I find them so much more engaging here than previous Tales games. I found a lot of other games, and this is kind of like going into the visuals of this game, but a lot of Tales games to me have had always like very stiff animations. In this game, the animations are amazing. There's a lot of like really action-packed cutscenes, and they're presented really well. Like presentation-wise, I think this is one of the better Tales games in recent memory. And I've always kind of accused the Tales games, even though I love this series. Ever since Vesperia, to me, they've always been a bit lazy, because I mean this is a yearly franchise now. They come out with a Tales game every year, so a lot of them do feel kind of lazy to me, with like the maps and the general linearity of these newer Tales games. But this game, and then also with the very stiff animations, but I loved the cutscenes and animations in this game. And talking about graphics, it pretty much looks the same as Xillia. It's a good looking game. But I will say there are a lot of reused assets with this game, and that's a common complaint I've heard, which I kind of don't understand. Like, there's a lot of the same areas from Tales of Xillia, because this takes place in the same world. But it didn't actually bother me as much as I thought it would. You're running through a lot of the same areas, but I think there's enough new areas that it didn't really bother me. I mean, the areas themselves are still, honestly, in my opinion, like, really lame. Like, they're big, either, like, massive corridors, or basically big, wide open areas with trees and rocks and enemies just placed at random. Which is kind of disappointing to me. Ever since, I haven't enjoyed a world in a Tales game since like Vesperia. Well, I don't want to say enjoyed, but like Vesperia just had this massive world map with so many areas, each being completely different from another. And the areas here are very different. They're just kind of boring to go through. It did kind of suck how a lot of them were the same areas. I don't know. I always bring this up when I talk about these newer Tales games. I miss that world map. And as long as this is like a yearly franchise, I don't think we're going to get that back. I know Zestiria is going for like a Xenoblade style open world, so hopefully that's going to be great. But yeah, I guess that covers like the visuals. Audio wise, the voice acting, as with pretty much every Tales game, is fantastic across the board. Like, I don't know. The Tales games to me have always had some of the best voice acting in a JRPG. The music, a lot, again, like with the reused like visual assets, a lot of the same music, but it seems all the tracks they picked from Xillia for Xillia 2 are all the ones I really enjoyed. Like a lot of those really weird jazzy tracks make a return here, which I love, and the new songs that play in this game are really good too. In fact, I actually really enjoyed the soundtrack here, and a lot, again, like with the storylines, the Tales soundtracks have never really blown me away or anything, but I really enjoy the soundtrack in this one. But anyways, let's talk about the gameplay now, the major part of the game. I'll first talk about the debt system. This is another, I guess, complaint I've been seeing from some people. Basically, you've got the main story is set up in chapters. I think there's like 16 chapters. But before every chapter, you have this debt as a part of the story. I don't want to spoil that part of it, but you have to basically pay off a part of this massive, like 20 million gald debt. And every time you reach a new chapter, before you can start that chapter, you have to pay off a certain amount of your debt. And basically how you do this is go and do these side quests that you take from like a job board. And this kind of halts the game at times, and it stretches it out. It pads the game out in kind of an unnecessary way, in my opinion. And this is probably my least favorite part of the game. I think some people are going to hate this more than others. But at the end of the day, it was still only a minor annoyance for me, because there are elite monster quests where you take out these big giant monsters, and they give so much gold that you can pay off the debt really quick if you just go after the elite monster quests. And unfortunately, a lot of the other quests are just like, hunt this amount of monsters, find this amount of this item, go deliver this item to another character, and they're really boring and bland side quests that I really did not enjoy doing. So I just did like the elite monster quests, and that was it. And that's all I needed to do, because they gave so much money. And because of that, I found myself very quickly paying off the debt and getting to the next story chapter. Other than that, it's just, you know, the story, you know, watching cutscenes, going through dungeons. The dungeons themselves are very, like, point A to point B, very linear, which, like, hardly any puzzles. In fact, I almost want to say, like, there was basically no puzzles in this game, which I like that. Tales of Grace's F, I've said this before, I hated the puzzles in that game. I thought they were just atrocious, and I'd much rather have these kind of boring point A to point B dungeons where you're just fighting monsters along the way than solving these really annoying puzzles. But you've also got character quests other than the main quests, where each character in the game has like up to like 4 to 6 different character quests where you get to see these characters grow as people, and you kind of help them out. And I loved these. They were absolutely fantastic for character development. A lot of them were very funny. A lot of them were very emotional and dark. All the time, every time they popped up on a location list, which, by the way, there's fast travel in this game, which is great. You unlock it very early, so it cuts down a lot of what would be unnecessary backtracking. But the character quests are a great idea, and they also give you a lot of in-game rewards too, and increase your affinity with certain characters. I'll talk about that a bit later, but those I definitely recommend going through all of those when you have the option to do them, because that gives you a lot of important story background and character info, which is top notch. Other than that, I guess I'll talk about the battle system now. It's the same. It's generally the same battle system as Tales of Xillia. You've still got your linked arts where you kind of link up with another character, and you can do like linked powers between each other, and they can give bonuses to each other depending on who you're linked with. You can change character mid-battle. It generally plays the same. It's that same awesome, fast-paced Tales battle system. You can sidestep now, which makes dodging attacks so much easier in this game, which I loved. There's a new, like I said before, the affinity system, which basically the more you kind of are linked with another character, or you know, have that character in your party, that affinity grows with that character, so they'll be like stronger, and that's a great system. I loved raising that affinity with certain party members. I loved experimenting with all the characters. That was really fun. There's also like Ludger himself, which is the character I played throughout the entire game. Well, most of the game. I did experiment with some of the characters on my own, but he's got 3 different weapon styles: dual swords, a gun, and like a sledgehammer type weapon, and you can switch between them at any time. So he has 3 different playstyles that you can mix and match between, and that made him so much fun to play with. And you know, when you have that, and the fact that it's Xillia's battle system, which I love, the added quick step, and then the chromatus system, it all came together to create a battle system that I'd say is probably the best Tales battle system I've seen so far. The chromatus system, what this is, it's a part of the storyline. It's also part of Ludger's character. It's basically like this meter that you kind of fill up the more you're in battle and attack enemies, and it goes through different levels, like level 1, 2, and 3. When you activate it, it's like this super mode, basically where all the characters kind of disappear except for Ludger, and you basically go to town on the enemy, and you have all these different arts that you can use during this mode. Your attack power is increased, your speed's increased. You can pull off mystic arts during this, and it's just really fun. It's kind of spam heavy, but you feel like such a badass, and it's so fun pulling that off. But at the same time, there's a risk-reward system. Like, when do you want to pull off this chromatus effect? Do you want to wait till you're at level 3, or do you want to use level 1, which will be weaker? You've also got the overlimit mode that returns from Tales of Xillia, where you've got that meter. Once it's kind of a quadrant's kind of filled up, you use a linked art, and then that will make it to reach the next level. Once the whole bar is full, you go in overlimit mode, and you can do a bunch of linked arts and pull off your mystic arts. It's just like the battle system is just so much fun. Like, I never got tired of it. It was really addictive. I just absolutely loved it. Tales of Xillia had this orb system. What was it called? Lilium Orb, I think it was. In this, what's it called in this? Jeez, I don't even remember. It's another kind of orb system. It's different than Xillia. Xillia was kind of like a sphere grid type thing. This, you kind of choose your, I think, what do they call them? Like a reactor or something? I forget all the terms in this game. There's so many weird terms in this, but you choose this, extractor, that was it. You choose an extractor for each character, and that determines, like, that shows you a list of what arts you can learn, or what skills you can learn. The skills return, where you have, like, skill points, and you can equip different skills for all your characters. And you're kind of switching between these extractors constantly throughout the game. You're gathering new ones. So you kind of have... There's character choice this time around in terms of what skills you want your characters to have, how you want to grow your characters. And I actually preferred this system to the Lilium Orb system from Xillia. It can get annoying at times because I found myself always wanting to go into the menus to switch them around, because you gain skills and arts very quickly in this game, and how you get the more elemental ores you get, the quicker you know that determines how quickly you can get your next skills. You get elemental ores from enemies, and then on the field map. I found myself exploring more in this game compared to Xillia, because there's elemental ores all over the place. There's items all over the place for, like, the side quests. But yeah, this orb system, I can't believe the name is escaping me right now. But I really like it. It's a good system. I much preferred it over the Lilium Orb system from the first Xillia. But I think that about covers it with the gameplay. In fact, I think that might about cover with the entire game. I'm sure there's some stuff I'm missing, but whether I like it more than Xillia, yeah, I do. There's some definite flaws with this game. I think some people are they're not gonna take too well to, like, the reused assets, the debt system, the silent protagonist. I mean, the game's not perfect, but I did enjoy it quite a bit more than Xillia. I was just a lot more into the storyline this time around, and that's, I think, the game's biggest strength. Like, the story from start to finish, I thought was really good. The ending especially is awesome. Really enjoyed the ending. But yeah, in fact, I'd say that I'd rank this as probably, like, my third favorite Tales game. I think it's, like, tied with Tales of the Abyss for me. Like I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, which kind of surprised me. But I definitely recommend it, especially if you've already played the first one. If you haven't played the first one, definitely recommend that one, then getting to this one. Yeah, great game. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.